What's going on, guys? It's Joe Fairwell with Tactical Hyve, and I'm coming at you today with another quick tip. And I know you guys know me a lot for my competition side of things, but we're going to talk today about self-defense, especially in a low light situation. Now, one of my favorite things that I carry on my everyday carry person is a flashlight. You've got to be carrying a flashlight. I use this thing all the freaking time. This flashlight is a Streamlight Pro Tac 2L. And I've got a couple different ones. This one is kind of my preferred carry because it's very bright, very compact. I can throw this in my pocket. Nobody really pays attention to it. It's hard enough because it's made out of metal to use as a striking object as well. And it's got the light on the back side, or the button on the back side. Really enjoy that light, and it's very effective for flying, for traveling, for just everyday carry. So when most people talk about self-defense, we really get into the gun side of things, the hands-on fighting and stuff like that. But your first line of self-defense should really be a good flashlight, because you can use this all the time, and especially in those situations where you may not be justified in pulling a gun or a knife or tackling somebody or shoving them back. But this gives you an opportunity to have a resource at your hands where if somebody's approaching you in maybe just an uncomfortable situation, a gas station or something like that, you can pull this out, you can have this in your hand. It's an alternative weapon to, say a deadly force threat, but it gives you something that you can now amplify your voice by using that flashlight and tell them to get back, or you even shine it in their eyes. And it's not going to be something that's looked at through the courts as you attacking somebody. Shining somebody in the eyes with a flashlight is rude, but it's not an attack. It's not an affront on their person. So it's a good alternative. Now, when it comes down to a situation where somebody is actually attacking you and you do have this flashlight in your hand, or you're in a low light situation, you need to be able to effectively get to your other gear. So that's where we start talking about working with a flashlight in your hand, as well as clearing your garment, getting to your gun, and being able to put effective rounds on target in that low light situation. That's what we're going to kind of dive into today. So we're going to do a couple of drills with getting this flashlight out, using it effectively to see and illuminate your target. Once you identify that there is a threat of some sort, whether we're in a training environment or in a real life situation, we can then clear our garment, get a gun up, and still get effective rounds on target. So each one of these drills is going to depend on how you carry your gun, your weapons, your flashlight, etc. Make sure that you try this out with your gear. Make sure that you're testing it, because if it doesn't work, you may need to change something. I personally carry inside the waistband in the appendix position. That allows me to get to my gun effectively while just using one hand while I've got the flashlight in my other hand. So when we start to talk about the actual draw stroke, if I've got the flashlight in my hand, I like to keep this up somewhere in my workspace, right? We all talk about workspace. So I want to keep this up in my workspace, and I can effectively use this flashlight to see what I need to see. And if somebody attacks me, I can use this as an impact weapon of some sort, or it allows me to illuminate my sights if I'm using iron sights. So if I am using this flashlight, I'm telling somebody to get back, I'm using those commands, and they present a deadly threat of some sort, the next step is to go ahead and get my gun out. So if I've got the flashlight up, I want to be able to clear my garment and establish a good grip on that gun, present it effectively upon the target, get a good sight picture, and still take accurate shots. All right, these are things that you can do dry fire, and you should be practicing this on a very regular basis. If you don't practice with a one-handed draw, it's going to be difficult to figure that out on the fly when you've got an armful of groceries, or your kids that you're holding on to, or a flashlight. So practice these things before you do it live on the range. In dry fire, make sure that you have these mechanics locked in on a fundamental level so you're not having to think of it on the fly. All right, something that you really want to make sure that you're aware of before you start doing this live on the range is testing this out at your own home to see what happens when you shine that flashlight while you've got a gun down range. Now, if you're running iron sights, you want to make sure that the flashlight is going to illuminate those iron sights well enough for you to see the target, but you want to be shining directly at your hand. You also don't want to shine the light directly onto the red dot if you're running a red dot mounted pistol. If you have a red dot on there, make sure that your brightness isn't super high, like if you're in the daylight, because it's going to just blossom out into the screen and you're not going to be able to take accurate shots that way. And you also don't want it too dim to where if you shine the flashlight, it washes out the red dot, you're not actually able to see it. So those are things that you need to take into account before you start going out and testing this on the range. Do it at home. You can check all these different things out and get some repetitions in before you actually shoot. So let's go through 3 different drills that you can do, dry fire and live fire, just to get comfortable with working with a flashlight in your hand and taking shots. The first one I'd like to do is just having the flashlight up here where we're having a conversation with somebody. They present a deadly threat. We have to draw one-handed, clear that garment, and get that gun up. All right, so we're gonna come up here, flashlight's up, we're gonna go ahead and draw. Get 3 rounds, on target, recover, make sure we're maintaining that good light discipline, make sure we're not getting inaccurate shots, we're getting good shots on target. And then from there, we're just gonna simply move our hand position. So if we're having a conversation or we have somebody that's being verbally abusive to us, and we're just telling them, hey, get back. We want them to stay away. We've got our hands up. We're using this flashlight effectively to kind of amplify our voice and give them something to think about other than us. But one thing that you want to keep in mind is if you have your hands out in front of you, we don't want to shine this flashlight directly on our hand. What that does is it reflects light back into our eyes. And it doesn't matter what's in front of you, you don't want to ever shine that light directly into something that's right in front of you, because that reflection will dim your night vision. It's going to make it a lot more difficult to see what's going on downrange, and you want to be able to maintain that good night vision throughout the drill. So we're going to start out here, hands up here, so we're able to kind of get to our gun from a different position. And we're just going to take 3 rounds. So get that garment clear. Okay. Cover back up. And we're good to go there. The third and final drill that we're gonna do is kind of building on the other two, but we're gonna start with a flashlight in our pocket or wherever it is that you carry it. We're gonna start with a gun holstered, and we're gonna kind of use this as an idea of we're entering a dark area, we wanna pull our flashlight out, and as soon as we do so, we have an immediate threat afterwards. So it's gonna be a flashlight up, and as soon as we have that flashlight up, we're going for the gun as well. So we're gonna start out here. As soon as we get that flashlight up, we're good to go, okay? So use those 3 drills. Be sure to dry fire them as well. You can do that from any position. We can start working from different vehicles, coming into your house. Make sure you're doing so safely and you're getting those reps, using your own gear, making sure that it works for you and you're not having to fight through a situation when you don't have to.